think we are enough. And okay, so I would like to just run a little bit by what we did last week. And first of all, good morning, everyone, because I said good morning to first 10 approximately, and then I was kind of ignoring people joining. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for sticking around. And what we... Yes, of course, I'm professional, man. I learned my mistakes, but thank you very much for reminding. So, what we're going to do today, and what we actually did last week, today we will just go probably first 5 minutes and just catching up a little bit on what we did last week, because I'm not very sure that you did, guys, sit at home and went to watch tutorials and now kind of like still fresh. So we will do it, just go through the very, very basics and have a look. Okay, we did kind of like check 1 2 3 4, and then today will be really, if yes, last week it was like really like outside and then a little bit inside. Today we will be really a lot inside and maybe repetitive, but I do want you to get really good idea how you using very basic commands in Python and how we're starting to operate on very basic operations like loops and if statements. So this is 3 things that I would like to manage to do today to show you how powerful you can be when you know very, very, very basic things like access certain area in Nuke and then start kind of like bombardier it with different commands and different statements if you would like kind of like to do that. Okay, so previously on Python from Dummy. So basically the first thing, it's like I would like to remind you what actually the Python language is, or any language, programming language, as I see that. So for me it was very easy to understand. So imagine you are inside of some building, and inside of the building there will be library. Inside of the library there will be modules, and inside of the modules there will be books. Okay, now instead of books we have classes and functions. Okay, but whenever you're operating on certain language, you need to be in special, you need to be in environment in which you able to operate on this on these functions, that you able to use this language, that you able to use these models. So you need to be inside of this environment, and for us this environment for now is Nuke, because from the moment you are inside of the Nuke, it's like in computer game, boom, you land into your level. You don't need to do nothing. You are there, and you're able to use different things that this level is providing to you. Are you presenting already? Of course, I'm not. Thank you. I'm not so professional. Okay, thanks, Salvador. Okay, now I'm sharing because I see what I'm talking about, but okay, thank you. We didn't do it like too crazy, too far away. Anyway, now you can see, but like not so far away. So it's very important thing to understand, because otherwise you're really lost. You're going to text editor like, I will be the best program in the world. You're typing hello world and nothing is happening, because this text editor is located in different buildings. So I mean, it's somewhere in your operating system. Python is not connected to it, and so on and so on. So you need to be inside of this environment which is already connected to your modules, to your libraries, or you can see your model and you can say, well, I want to go to this model, and using this model run certain command. Okay, so this is the general understanding. We will jump in Nuke very soon, and we will start to train that. Okay, but generally you like in special building, in the library in this building, or you can access any library, and then from this library you can access any module. Okay, and then you're accessing commands, which you can kind of like say, well, command is something that the function, you're just telling to this function something, and function is giving you back something. It's like you're going to the shop, you're giving the money, you're getting back, I don't know, potatoes. Okay, so you're giving something, you're getting something back. Or you're giving 2 things, it's giving you 1 thing back. Or the opposite, you're giving 1 thing and giving you 2 things back, and millions of combinations. But you always need to go to the specific place. Now, this is the general language. Okay, now, from what is actually kind of like built. So first, it's characters. Okay, it's called which data types it has. And it has very basic, it has numbers and strings, and that will be the first one. There's also Boolean, which is just false or true. It's not number, it's not string, but it's just like, is it false? Do this. Is it true? Do that. Aside for now. So what is difference between numbers and between strings? Strings, it's just a text. Okay, so here I'm giving just example. La La Land, 30 rabbits, rabbit eating a cow. It's just a text for us, and we will operate on the text as we're operating on the text. We can just find certain characters, certain words, and do different things with it. And like we're doing this already in Nuke a lot. You will just kind of like, we will have examples today as well. And then numbers, they split to integers and floats, but basically they're numbers. Okay, numbers you can multiply, you can divide, you can do crazy math operations, and so on and so on. You cannot plus number and string because he will be like, dude, not going to work. But you can plus number and number, okay? Difference between float and integer. Integer doesn't have this dot, doesn't have like 1.5, 1.7. Integer is always 1, 2, 3, 4, like frame number. It's always integer. It's always will jump 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is how language works. Now, so we know that very basic is will be text, numbers, and strings. How do you organize them? Because you need certain area to keep them organized. You cannot just shuffle them inside of some place that there is a text. So you can organize them with lists and dictionaries. You can organize them with a few different ways. Okay, there are sets. There are some additional stuff. We're not going to look into it now because, well, this is the basic, this is the most thing that you're going to see in Nuke and use in Nuke. Then let's have a look how list look like. List, it's basically, it's characters which separated by comma, and they're inside of this square bracket. This is a list, what you see here, 1, 3, which are numbers. And then you have Eyal Melech, it's a text, for example, so it's a string, and then you have 5.66. And this is basically the box in which you put stuff and you're storing this. Now, this is not exactly box because this is a list, one after other. It's not just kind of matrix or something. No, very simple. Now, so that was the list. And another way to save our information is dictionaries. Similar to list, very similar. Curled brackets, and the difference is that you can see we have here commas as well. Okay, great, but inside of comma we have not one element but two elements, and this is key and value. Very simple. Basically, you have different elements separated by commas, but each element has key, mama equal 100, papa equal 70, son equal a list. So, and this is something that you can already understand, that the value can be anything. The value even can be in another dictionary. The value can be string, as here. And string, we can see that 100 is actually not number, it's a string because it's inside of the, how we call them? I forgot. Quotes. Okay, and papa is a number because not inside of the quotes. We spoke about this previously. So this is two ways how we will see Nuke mostly stores our variables and or stores information. Now, what can we do with this thing? So we already know that we have the basic characters, we know how to store them, then we need to operate on them, and mostly our operations will be numerical operations and comparison operations. What is comparison operations? It's basically if blur not is active, deactivate it. If your value bigger than 5, set it to 10. If this equal that, do that. Okay, very simple if statement. You saw it millions of times in your expressions, and this is what you're going to do, and that's what Nuke is doing on the background all the time when you're setting some values and so on and so on. And numerical operations, very simple. It's 5 plus 10, for example, and all the crazy stuff that could be, but it's always as well, it's math, okay? For us, it's going to be really like multiply everything by 100, and that's it. Okay, and that's it. That's all operations that we need to know, and basically that's all operations that exist, I think. Maybe I'm missing something, but that's will be it. Then we did touch actually functions. So when I was talking in very beginning, I was talking about, well, the building, the library, the module, and inside of the module there will be functions. Now, module in our world, it's one text file, and inside of this text file there's different functions or different classes. Functions and classes are different. Right now we just say, well, functions. What are they doing? And this is our recipes. So module will have many different recipes. For example, Nuke. Nuke is a module. It's not just name of the program. There is inside of the nuke, there's nuke.py or whatever. I think it is actually nuke.py. It's a module. And inside of this module, there will be, for example, function called selected node, meaning you're going to nuke, going to selected node, and if you will run this function will give you back the name of the node that you selected in the node graph. So this is the operation that this function is doing, and there is like dozens of these operations. How does it build? And this function will be built in this way. Ooh, I clicked on something. Sorry. Panic attack. Back. Function is defined by you, and we will define it. We did it already, but basically when we're writing functions as programmers, let's say, we're just saying, well, define and then function name. It can be selected node, for example, and then brackets, and then these two dots, and inside you're saying print something. That's definition of function. That you're saying what it will do, this function, to print. This function will just print something for us. And then when you're calling the function, it's printing for us basically what we did right here. Hello nuke. Now we will attach a lot. We will not define too much. We will not kind of like go there yet, I believe, but we will, yes, use functions a lot. Now I can click. So then we went inside of Nuke and we started to play with, and right now I'm running through the things that we did. So we were talking about variables. One thing that I didn't mention right now. So variables, it's when you assigning something to a variable, or you're assigning some number, or you're assigning some value to a variable. For example, if you have number 100, you can say mama. And I'm again, to people that joined just now, like I'm using like stupid names just so you will understand this is not some special keyword. It's just whatever you will say. Mama equal 100, papa equal 50, and 50 is a string. And then you can convert, for example, here I went, again, I'm kind of like just coming back. I convert papa from the string to init, integer, because papa was a string, and then I will say, well, I will now create another variable, and this variable will be actually integer of papa. Or I can convert mama to string. We already started to play with the certain basic functions. And as you can see, these functions, I just wrote int papa. And I didn't have to go to any module to access that. I was just writing this because this is on very high level. It's the same as a print. And we will get to the places when we need to go to special module to grab certain functions. And for example, then we say like Bobby equal 50 plus 100. Print Bobby, it will be 150. Okay, because he did this operation, and then Bobby now is 150. And then we actually dived inside of the nuke, and this is the first time here you can see that we going inside of specific module. So we went to nuke, module called nuke, and in module called nuke, we executed create node. Okay, create node is one of the functions which is defined inside of this Python module, which is saved somewhere. Okay, by default, when you inside of application of nuke, this module is already imported. Something I didn't talk about last week, but if you are to use certain module, you know that inside of this module there are very cool commands. You will have to frequently import this module, because nuke, he's trying to be kind of like, well, I will import only modules that I need. For example, module called nuke, because it's essential. But there are some cool modules which are saved inside of the Python library or libraries, which are installed, but we're not importing them, because otherwise the startup of nuke will be very, very slow. Okay, so when we inside of nuke, what you can expect, you're just typing nuke.create node, and node will be created. Okay, then we have some definitions we'll skip. Another example of some command that we can access with nuke, at nuke message, and you will get a pop-up nuke message. Okay, now let's touch a few more things and then we'll go forward. Here is example print nuke. For example, if you will print nuke, you need to put it inside of the brackets actually. It will print you the name of the module of your nuke module. Okay, it will be kind of not exactly human readable. But, and this is very important, two of them, dir and help. If you will print dir nuke, it will print you all the parameters that are located inside of the module called nuke, which means it will print you all the create node, message, whatever it's there. It will be huge because nuke is huge module. And this is your playground. And by the way, if you didn't open nuke yet, open nuke if you can, because you can play with this right now while we will go forward. So this is something that I'm using tremendously, a lot. Every time I don't know what certain element is doing, I'm just saying dir and putting this element inside. I can also say dir and put inside, for example, nuke create node. And it will print you what this specific element, object, whatever it is, has to offer you, what you can do with that. Okay? So, and then we kept going. We created node, nuke create node blur, and as you can see, we assign this immediately to variable. Why do we use variables in the Python or any language? Because we don't want to lose this node. What does it mean? If you just say nuke create node blur, it will create a node, and then you have nothing to hold. Basically, if you want to do something with this blur node, you don't have it in your memory because it just created node. Okay, fine, created 5,000 nodes, and they're there. But if you will say, well, I will say blur my equal nuke create node, he will create the node, and he will remember that this node is now can be called by you if you will type blur my. Okay, and here, for example, I'm just saying help blur my. Now, the difference between dir and help is that dir will show you all the parameters of certain object, and help will just show you whatever help was written by programmer for this object. Okay, so help can give you really like human readable explanation. This thing is doing 1 2 3 4. You need to give to this function this and this argument, and it will spit out for you certain thing. While dir is way drier, but it's also very informative. After you understand actually that you don't need to read all the help, you can use dir, and I'm using mostly dir. I forgot that help exists, but it's really cool in nuke. It's like you can actually read, okay, nuke create node, what is this, what it can give you. And it's a help or dir are working not only on the level of like really create node blur, and that's kind of like specific node. No, it's also if you just say dir and it give some string or number, doesn't matter. It will tell you what can you do with this string, what can you do with this number. And this is very, very super helpful, especially for you, because right now we didn't touch yet at all how do we operate on the lists, how we operate on the numbers, and you don't know what to do with it. Of course, you can go to internet, but you will see that you like, well, I just type dir, that's how I'm going, or help, that's how I'm, for example, can pop from the string certain characters because I don't need them. As an example, if you have a file path in your read notes, many read notes, and file path is wrong, and you need just exchange certain number, you got like, oh, how do you exchange? Oh, there is a string replace command because you found it inside of the dir. Okay, so this is biggest help you can have immediately in Nuke without going to ChatGPT and stuff like that. Okay, good. So that was this one, and we're going to the next one. And right now, I think I will go in Nuke because I know that it's like, well, dude, kind of like, let's just do some crazy shit, right? Yeah, let's try it. So I'm not going to repeat with the print and stuff like that. I will jump directly to basically Nuke create node. And let's create nuke dot, and which node we would like to create. We would like to create blur again. Okay, and let's execute that. Just give me a second. Reminder again, right now I'm inside of the script editor inside of the Nuke. I didn't have to import Nuke module because it's imported by default. Okay, so we just saying, well, go to Nuke module. Inside of Nuke module you will have create node function, which will create for you blur. Boom. This is crazy. Okay, great. So, and now, like I told you, I will not do it, but I can say print, and then this is a command on a very high level, so I don't need to say, well, go to module called and there is a print. No, that's basically in every Python, like everywhere, wherever you are, you can print. And then we say dir, and now we have a problem. Well, how do I actually printing what is inside of this? I did not assign variable. So right, let's do it in different way. Let's do it again, my Blair equal. Now it has a variable, and now I can say Control C and Control V. And now we're going to create it again, and then we're going to print it. And here, and this is really like, I remember learning Python, that was like, oh my God, I can do all that. And that's the place kind of like where you want to play, okay? And that's exactly what we're going to do now with more explanations. So now let's have a look on what Blair Note has to offer to us. So Blair Note has knobs, and all these knobs we can access in some way. But I don't know how to access it, because right now what we have here, we did print what Blair Note has to offer for us in general. So for example, let's, I don't know, name. Okay, I don't know, you can, and how you're doing that. So right now, for example, I'm not going to print it anymore. I'm just going to use my Blair dot name, I guess. Let's try to print it. Print my Blair dot name, and I really have no idea. Oh, look at that! I've got now the name of the node. Okay, it returned me the name of the node. Now, what is this name? This is the string, and now we will have to understand what these knobs are holding. Each knob will hold certain information. For example, here and here, 15. 15 is a number. Size will be number as well, and that's going to be float, because as you can see, it is kind of like, if you're changing this, it has like 2.5 and so on and so on. Okay, label, it is a string. Okay, so that's something that you will have always remember like what you're dealing with. Okay, so name, that was easy. Now let's start to set values, and that's something that basically that's what we are waiting for. So it will be my Blair, because we have it here, it's Blair 2, and then we can access a knob. Now, inside here, you have function called knobs. This function returns you all the knobs that you have. So I will just go knobs, and that's it. Let's print it. Let's have a look. Print. Again, don't forget to put it inside of the brackets, because Python 3 is kind of like telling, well, you have to put inside the brackets. And here, check this out. This is starting to be more complicated, but don't worry, it's very simple. What we see here, I'm looking on this guy. Oh, this is the dictionary. You remember, you will have the key and the value. So the key in this case, it's the name of the knob. Fringe, like name, for example. And the value, it's what it's going to hold. And here in value, it's always going to be this quite complicated, not human readable thing. But what you need to remember, that when you're going my Blair knobs, it will give you all the knobs that there exist, and then it will give you also the name of them, and you can access each one of them. As I mentioned, to access each one of them, you just saying, so right now this is my dictionary. Okay, so I'll just instead of printing, I'll just say, for example, my knobs equal. As you can see, again, we did assign the variable, so we can play with this a little bit easier. And now I can say I want to access specific item here. For example, disable. Disable, if you will hover above the node, you will see the name of the specific knobs. And I'm telling you, because hide input, for example, it's written hide space input, but the name of this knob is hide underscore input. Okay, so the name of disable is disable, and it is here. This is the key. And in dictionaries, and that's how we starting to play with dictionaries, you can access the specific key by just writing this in this way. So let's say I will print again so we will see it. Print my, okay guys, let's make it short. I will go crazy to write it all the time. My key disable. Let's see what it will give to us. So I'm saying go to this dictionary and print for me the value of disable node, disable knob. My key is not defined. Okay, very interesting. Now we're starting to read errors. Okay, well, what's happening? He's saying my key is not defined. It is a very common error because I did not run this line previously. He doesn't know what my key is because I did not say that my key actually is this dictionary. So let's run it again together. Okay, so you see now he gave me the pointer, let's say, like he told me what is the name actually of the Python object which holds everything about the like which holds information on the disable knob. Okay, like inside, not in human readable. You're not guys going to deal with this at all, but it's just for us to understand where we arrived now. Okay, and now let's help ourselves before, I know like I'm taking my time, but bear with me, we'll fly later. Okay, let's now again, yes.
One question, I got a little lost. Why in this last case it's not in parentheses?
Because I'm lazy, because I'm not used to it, and the thing is, I will explain to you why.
It's working.
Yeah. I will explain to you guys. So Python 2.7 will work when you're saying print and then you just type what is behind it. 2.7. The problem is that Python 3 is, they said like, okay guys, let's be actually organized. This is a function. This function is expecting something. Every function or class or whatever, expecting that parameters will be inside of the brackets. Let's just say that it will be inside of the brackets also for Python 3. So if you're on Nuke 13 and you will try to print without these brackets, it will error. And since I was for 10 years printing without putting these brackets, I'm kind of like used to it, and that's why I'm kind of forgetting to do that. Okay? It's the same result. Okay, but so now I want to print actually what this disable knob, which parameters I can give it. Okay, what I can do with this. So I will say dir, because I don't know what to do with this guy yet. Print. And as you can see, there is a shitload of things that you can do with that. Okay, you can set key, you can get value at, you can set value, and this is, now we went to node. We went through all the knobs, we checked which knobs existing, and then it's like, well, we want to go to disable knob, and then we checked what we can do with this knob, and here we are already ready to start to do kind of like cool stuff. Okay, so now we know that we can say, well, get value. For example, all the time in Python, you will see there will be a lot of get and a lot of set. And that's the usually when you see that it's get, it's to get something. Set is to set the value. Okay, so now after printing and maybe confusing you a little bit, I will write everything in one line. And I would recommend you to not write things in one line because it's not readable. Okay, but since I was kind of like explaining a lot here, you may be lost a little bit. But right now, let's write one liner that we want to do something with the disable knob here. And I will start and showing you additional command, which kind of like can be nuke selected node. Okay, so I will say nuke dot selected node. Now, whatever we selected, we will get from this. And then we can say, well, go to knobs. I think it will be like that. Okay, and that's something that we did already. And then in knobs, we want to access specific knob. And let's go kind of fancy because we can just go to size. It's more cool than disable. We want to access the size, and it's inside. and then we want to do something with it. And let's go just set value. And I will make this one and say 500. And I will run it. And we've got an error. Okay, why we've got an error? You remember that knobs are expecting specific data type. So this one is expecting number, and I did give it a string, and no one did scream at me. What are you doing? Okay, so I will, and he is telling me, I'm expecting a sequence of 2 floats, 3 found. Admit. Actually, I don't know how he, like why he said a 3 found, because that was actually a string that found. Okay, but let's try right now. And voila, we have size changed to 500. Okay, so that's how you setting the value. I'll just copy this right now, and I will just say, well, I want something else. I want to get value. Get value. Now, when you're saying get value and you have something here, he will error at you. Like he will say, well, dude, actually he didn't. Oh, I'm curious why he didn't. I would expect that he will error at me. Well, he did work, but basically he's supposed to tell me, well, you gave me a variable, but actually I don't need a variable. And frequently you will have this, like, I'm expecting, but you're giving me something else. But anyway, it did work right now. It gave me back 500. Let's see it again. 20.2. Okay, so now, but there are 2 of them. There's width and height. How can we give him basically separate for width and for the height? And it will be set value again. Okay, Control C, Control V. So for example, we want to set value, but only on the size by width. Okay, and this is basically what is inside. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just I see it as a list basically of 2 numbers. So there will be like first number, comma, second number. So let's see if we'll just give him a list. We'll say 1, whatever it is, and then we'll say 2. And then I jumped, sorry. And let's run it. And now, as you can see, we did set 1, 1, 1 here and 2, 2, 2 here. So we did set 2 different values. Now, if we'll go to grade node, and grade node, we have many different knobs, and I will say, well, multiply, actually called multiply, but be careful, gain called wide. Okay, so I will go for wide because it's shorter. Wide. And I will just run the same thing. Let's see what it will give me. Oh, dude, I'm expecting 4 floats, red, green, blue, alpha. You gave me just 2. Okay, fine. Okay, I will give you 4. And 5. And let's run it. Voila. We did set all 4 values. Okay, you've got the idea. I will not repeat this more. Now, let's see how we can set value only on one of them. And only on one of them, I would say, let's try. I'll just copy this, Control C, Control V. And you will want to say, well, I want this value, 55, and only on element 2. And that's will be the syntax. Set value, whatever value, and this is the index. This is the new thing for you. And now we're starting to operate on the lists. This is index of the item in the list. 1, 2. Wrong. 0, 1, 2. Okay, remember in Python, you always starting from 0 with the indexes, basically in the list or dictionaries and stuff. Okay, let's see if I'm correct. So I'm expecting that 2 will be red, green, blue. So instead of 4, I will get now 55. And 55. Okay, now he did set actually 55, and I need now Savior to tell me why it didn't actually split it to, because it's supposed to give me actually 55. Marco, I saw you there. I'm embarrassing myself. Set value. Get value. Actually, I think it works differently. Just give me a moment. I think it's if I will get value, it will give me, and maybe there's inconsistency. Float of children get item. Get value. Oh. 105. So get value, and this is of element 2, and I've got it 105. So okay, that was the get value, but I do want to set actually value because that's a very basic thing. Set value, but I think it will work in this way. 2 0. Just give me a moment. I will set value 2 on the 0. Okay. Different syntax, sorry, but I've got there. Okay, so 2 more examples. So first of all, how we getting value? You're saying, well, get value, and then you're telling him from which index you want to get value. So in this case, get value of index 2, it will be 0 1 2. Okay, it will be like 1 2 3. It's 105, and it's probably will print 105. 105. Okay, it is there. And then we can set value, and here it will be actually differently. And sorry, I forgot about that. If we're setting the value, we're saying, well, which value and where. So we want to set value 200, and we want to set it on the X in this case, or red, or the second one, the green, and enter. And we did set it. Now, so as you can see, we did operate now on the get value and the set value, and that's the usual thing that you're going to do, like the mostly. You also can set value at specific frame. You can do millions of things, but that's where you will have to just to go and see which operations are available for you. And first of all, you have a goal, and then you will just say, well, what can I do on this level? What can I do on that level? Okay, but I will stop now with the get value and the set value because that's going to be now very repetitive for everything. Let's actually give a set label here. Okay, so we have, again, we're going nuke selected node. And you see why we're actually using variables? Because we don't want to write all that all the time, again and again. Because we want just to set it once, and then we can add the rest, okay? But right now we just will say, well, let's go to label, set value, and label expecting string. That's why I will put it inside of the single quotes. And we did set label 200, 1. Okay, so that's why we're going from the numbers and strings and so on and so on. Questions so far? Okay, good. So now, how you can set value, how you can access knobs. Actually, I never was doing like dot knobs, because actually you can do it in a shorter way, which will be nuke selected node and just label. So he already will know to go to specific label, so it's way shorter. So now imagine when we actually using the variables. So we're saying, well, variable my node equal, and then your workflow will be you defining your variable, and then you're doing everything that you want with this node. You're setting my node, setting certain values. I didn't define it yet, but let's define it, and you keep running. Okay, now it did work. Okay, so let's go forward now, because I do want to talk. This is iterative. This is a label print. Do this on. Just give me a second. I'm just checking what. Before I will go and start talking about actually iterating through lists and do something with lists more than just setting value, which we already learned right now. Actually, set value on certain list or certain knobs. I would like to point something which I find kind of like quite easy and interesting. Is that your root is also a node. It's considered to be a node, meaning that you can say nuke to node, meaning nuke, go find specific node root. Let's see if it will actually do something, and I will assign already r equal. Okay, I will assign a variable. I hope it will be there. Okay, and let's start. Let's try to print R knobs. I made a mistake, maybe it's capital R, but I think it's not. And as you can see now, you can access all the knobs inside of your root, everything which is there. Okay, you're mostly probably interested in like name, project directory and stuff, your resolution, your frame range. That's how you can set up your frame range in one click, for example, in the, from the terminal. And this is pretty useful. There is another one which is also not kind of like straightforward and not very much kind of like, well, why do I need that? It's Nuke to node preferences. And I'll now go and print preferences. And this is actually is this guy. So you can access all your preferences and set them for yourself as a default preferences, where if you're going to kind of like to new company, you have script which is just can run to your preferences and change them. That's kind of like, that's what I kind of like did in very beginning when I was doing kind of like dealing with the Python, going to new company, my preferences are lost or whatever. Yeah, I just have certain defaults which I'm just running in my module that I created. Okay, we'll get to creation of models next next week. Okay, so now let's now start to deal with operations. Okay, so we know how to set value on one knob, and that's on certain kind of like node on certain knob, and this is already great. Now, usually we're going to have many of them that we want to operate. That's why actually we have programming. That's why we have Python, because this is when we can kind of like just go and type. That's great. Like you're saying, well, why I'm doing that? That's the always question. But if we want to make something automatic for 50 nodes, we need to go to kind of like to Python. Okay, so I want to operate now on many of them, and here we go. There is something called Nuke selected nodes, and I will assign the variable to it. My guys. Okay, no spaces. Let's say underscore. Okay, enter. And right now he didn't return me nothing, but he remembers that I selected nodes and all these guys are there. Now these guys are organized in a list. Print my guys. And I will run it now. And now I'm getting here a list of all the objects that I selected. Okay, now remember we just selected one node and we did operation, but now I have all of them and I want to do some operation on each one of them. And here we're arriving to loops, which is very basic saying, and let's type it. For dude in my guys, print dude name. Okay, now if we would say just Nuke selected node, it's dude equal Nuke selected node, and then say print the name of this guy, he will print the name of this guy. But right now we have list, and what we're saying, go and iterate through this list, go to the first guy inside of this group of guys and print his name. Okay, I already did define it here previously, so it remembers that. So let's just run it. And here we go, 2, 5, 1, 6, 3, 7, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So right now we managed to do some operation on each one of them. Now, let's go now and set something. So we're not going to print because like that's fine. Or actually, no, we're not. I'll just make that's really not important what I'm doing right now, and I just want some separation there. Okay, so let's see. I didn't explain to you, but when you're saying loop, let's loop, then you have to go and press tab. So this will be inside of the loop. Okay, it's 4 spaces usually. Okay, so right now my dude, it's each one of them, so it's going like go the first one. Okay, so let's dude, and then name of the knob, and we want go for size, I believe. size. Again, I did this. Sorry.
Sorry, don't you have to define dude first? What is dude, or where does dude come from?
Coming. Set value. Thank you for question. Okay. Sorry, I will go slower. So that's very good point. When you saying for dude in my guys, what you saying, it's go to the first one, and also you defining the first one, you giving him a variable, a dude. And this variable will be kind of temporal. It will say like, go to the first guy, give him a name, in this case it will be dude, and then you use this name, whatever you want. When you will be done with doing whatever you want to do to this dude, go back, go to the second guy, give him the same variable, do whatever you want with him, go to the next, give him the same variable. You understand? We're just changing this variable to different objects. We're just jumping on different guys, and we saying, well, now your name is dude, actually. Let's do everything with you. Back. Now, your name is dude. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's see. Basically what he's doing, he's saying, well, dude equal, like there somewhere on the background, my guys, and then there will be the index of this guy. I think it will be like, in beginning it will be 0. Like the first one will be the dude number 0, the second one dude number 2, and that's what he's doing. He's like, well, let's say that now the first guy, that's the first guy that we went to, your name is this. And he's just doing this in one line here. Then the second guy, he will like update the number to the next one. Now your name is this. Okay, but he's doing this in one line. He's assigning the first guy to variable, which is this one. Now this is dude. Now do everything with him. Then when he's done, for example, he's going to do many things. For example, this and inside. And when he is done, he will go back, he will grab the second one, and now will say, well, now you are dude, go. Let's do with you next. And when it's done to do everything, he will keep going, and we will say, and actually I will make this print. He will keep going with the code. So this is our code. So let's have a look how does it work, okay? This is my kind of like size here for one of them. Enter. So that's what he did. He started, he did run the code. I didn't tell him to print anything because I didn't want to print. And then he printed the end of the code here. It's just for us to see what's happening. Okay, again, started, did something in the middle, and then as you can see, it's 100. Is this somehow clear? But guys, please stop me, because for me it's so crystal clear that I kind of like could ignore that, like, well, maybe for everyone it's just like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Martin?
Yeah, it's clear.
It is, and don't be kind of like shy, because that's where we are at. Bloody hell.
No, just
Yep.
Go ahead, Martin.
no, just confused to where this is going, or the application. Like I understand the process, but it's
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. This is the.
I kind of see this inside of you did in massive panel, but it's for me now. It's kind of confusing because I don't see my goal in there at the moment. So
Fine.
But it's fine. I'm following. It's fine.
Okay. So let's do something else. Label very fast, because I found out that it's almost set value. I think I will just do it very fast, and will be size, and that's not important for you right now because I'm setting an expression. I think value size. Let's see if it will work for each one of them. Okay, so, and that's the application for you. Okay, so we have now many Blair nodes, and that's the massive panel. That's it, guys. What we unfortunately will not manage to do it in time because I took too much time in the beginning. If you want to set first Blair 100, second 200, next 300, and so on and so on. Okay, this is the application. You want to make some kind of like, Blair which is going in the depths with the nodes which are connected to Blairs. And I usually doing this because it's kind of like visually very easy. I'm saying I'm setting the counter 0, for example. Count equals 0. Okay, this is very simple. This is the variable, and this variable is equals 0. And then I'm going through every guy and the size of this guy, and I'm setting the value, and my value will be count, as you can see. So the first one will get value 0, and let's see how it will go. Okay, and I will print, or actually I will print the count. Print count. We're getting there, guys, don't worry. So everyone now 0, you can see it. Okay, now, but then here we'll say that count actually equal count plus 100. Now let's see what's happening before we're pressing this. We will go inside of this loop with the count equals 0. We'll set this to 0, the first one. Then we're saying, well, now let's say our count will equal count plus 100. So now our count is 100. We'll go back and we'll set 100. Then our count is 200. And that's how we're looping, and every time we're incrementing there. Let's just run it. Count equals 0. And now we have 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. And this is already very basic practical application for you setting incremental value for certain knobs. Okay, with very simple loop. So we set, there are a few ways to do that. This one is just for me very visual. We're setting certain count, and then we're incrementing this count. Is this clear? Because we did set now different values for all of them while we're doing this loop.
One question. So after this loop, it's happening at the end. Count.
Yep.
It's equal to 800 because overwritten everything, or
yes. Yeah.
Outside the loop.
Yeah. So right now, if I'll print count after I finished everything, and as I can see, I'm again forgetting these things, but fine. It will be 800. So I'll just press it again, and you see it's printed last 800, and then they did print it again 800. I can actually put it here. Okay. So you'll see it's definitely outside of the loop. It's definitely done, and it's there. Okay, so this is the loop. Okay, now guys, let's do one more thing. 3 minutes. Damn it, we're not going to do that. I will have to move to the next week when we will start with if statements. And I will probably next week, just based on what I see, I don't know, maybe write me in WhatsApp, because I feel that maybe I took too much time on the repetition of the previous workshop and it was a little bit too slow, because I do want to start to playing with the basically items inside of the lists. Like right here, we did iterate just through everyone, but we will have to learn how actually we access items and replacing them, for example, reversing them, and so on and so on. And also if, which is a like statement like if you enable, disable, if you disable, enable, and stuff. Questions for today's workshop? I guess there are no questions. Let's see if there's something crazy that I missed. Actually, I did cover pretty much what I wanted to cover. I wanted to cover the loop. And the if will work in a pretty simple way. And I will just be inside of this loop. And I will say if dude, I will just copy this, Control V, size value, get value in this case, is bigger than 100, then do the following. And I will have to tab this as well inside of the if. Okay, and this is the comparison. So basically what we're doing right now, we're going for every guy, and then we're checking if the value of the size is bigger than 100, then do this. Okay? Okay. And else, otherwise, print, for example, print high. Brackets, high. Okay, so this is the very simple if and else statement. We'll play with this more, but right now, for example, I can run this one, and he will go and say, go to first guy, check if his value bigger than 100, then increase this value by 100. But if it's smaller than 100, then just print something. Let's run it. So the first two ones, okay, they're smaller. That's why we did print it high. And then he started to increase values by 100. Okay? Because the first ones were like on 0, I guess. That's kind of like a sneak peek of of the if statement. Last thing, probably next workshop, instead of going more in depth on operations, what I would recommend you really to start to play with that, because I believe that the best thing is if you will start to play with the lists and dictionaries and basically very basic stuff like setting values for the knobs inside of Nuke. Use online. It's tremendous amount of just write how do I operate on the dictionaries, how do I operate on the lists. And yes, there's always will be these questions, well, what is the application? The more you will understand, the more you will see the application, and that's how it works, because this is always the same question all again and again. Okay, and on next workshop I will talk about how to set up your user, because right now, for example, we did create something useful for us and we want to see how can we save that. So we'll jump directly how to save our functions and how to save them in order to use it later, which will bring us also to how to access functions of other people that were written, or tools of other people that they were written, and how to use it. That's it for today. Please, and this time, because I felt I may be lost in a certain moment, please write me in WhatsApp or personal message. Well, Alexei, that was a little bit too fast, a little bit too slow, because I like right now it's just a lot of really work. It's not introduction, it's really just going through every element. There's too many elements to touch, or something that you would like me to repeat, and so on and so on. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
very
guys.
much.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Alexei. Bye-bye.
Stop sharing, I guess. Here, and stop recording. Where is stop recording? Where is it? Did I record? Maybe.